What's up, everybody? Tommy and Nate here. So today is August 2nd when we're recording this, and as some of you may know, August is Overdose Awareness Month.
Yep.
So, as always, we always try to bring a lot of awareness to what's going on in the community, especially when it comes to, the fentanyl and the fake perks and Xanax and all those other things that we're seeing now. So we're just going to talk a little bit about, the most common ways that we're seeing these people overdose lately and really for the last year or so.
Yeah, like Tommy said, we like to raise awareness, but in raising awareness, we also like to bring you guys information that you can take and use, right, on a daily basis, especially if you're somebody who has a loved one or you yourself are struggling with addiction, or even if those of you who are just curious about using drugs, right? And that's what we want to talk about is overdose trends we're seeing. It's 2021. This is by far becoming one of the worst years we've had. In 2020, there are 93,000 Americans estimated that died of a drug overdose.
And that's probably a lowball number, honestly.
Very likely so. And about 70% of those had fentanyl in their system. So fentanyl is becoming something that is mixed in with every single drug almost on the street. We've talked about it before, but we really wanted to harp on it again, especially being Overdose Awareness Month. So a lot of the things we're seeing, guys are probably saying, like, what kind of stuff are you seeing it mixed in with? Well, we'll talk about that. So the most common thing we're seeing is the fake perk 30s, and they're little round blue pills, right? And they have an M on one side and a 30 on the other. They're made to mimic oxycodone 30 milligram pills, which were very popular for a long time. Some of you who had used drugs previously know that, they just call them blues, M30s, perk 30s, Roxy 30s, whatever they may be. And then fake pressed Xanax is one thing we're seeing too. A lot of people want to take Xanax because, like Tommy always says, they say, oh, well, my mom or grandma has a prescription for Xanax. They take it when they're anxious. Also, they've heard probably it referenced in music many times, popping a Xan and lean, whatever it may be. So a lot of people seek that stuff out. Adderall is another thing we're seeing mimicked, right? So with the previous two mentioned, the fake perk 30s and the fake Xanax, they're mostly full of fentanyl. That is primarily what they're seeing. Sometimes they're cutting in other tranquilizers like xylazine, which is an animal tranquilizer, which can double down on the effect which causes an overdose, which is it depresses your central nervous system, your CNS, right? Which means you stop breathing. The Adderall, so Adderall is a popular drug, right? For those of you who don't know, Adderall is a prescription drug prescribed for attention deficit disorder. And for people that don't have attention deficit disorder, it makes them feel very up high, like it's very similar to methamphetamine. I think it's very close in its molecular structure.
It's an amphetamine.
Yeah, so, chemical makeup. Yeah. So without the meth in front of it, it's an amphetamine. Very high desirability from college students, middle schoolers, high schoolers, whatever it may be. But what we're seeing is it's full of, sometimes it's got fentanyl in it, but other times it's full of meth. Actual meth instead of actual drug, which is meth, or in amphetamine, which it's meant to be, right? And methamphetamine is more powerful than amphetamines. And sometimes we're also seeing that these fake pressed Adderall are full of fentanyl and methamphetamine. So this is a deadly combination as well, because you've got an upper and a downer together. Even by themselves, they can be deadly, meth and fentanyl. And we're also seeing fake Vicodin on the street too, because that's a popular one. Most people think, oh, I had Vicodin when I had my tooth pulled.
And we get asked a lot, like, why? Why is there fentanyl in everything? And there's a good answer for that. It's because it's so cheap and it's easily accessible. Unfortunately, anyone can order it off of the dark web, or a lot of it's coming in from the border. So it's more powerful than morphine. It's more powerful than heroin, and it's cheaper. And back in the day, like when Nate and I were getting high, all these pills that we were using, like they were actually like legitimate pills that did come from a doctor. Shouldn't have come from a doctor, but
they're being diverted.
There was tons of them on the street.
Right.
All that went away for a long time. That's when heroin got really popular around here, and now the fentanyl is taking over again. So the pills are getting more popular now. So even the people that we talk to that think they're doing heroin, they're not doing heroin. It's all fentanyl. It's being sold as heroin. Just like everything else, it's being sold as Percocet, it's being sold as Xanax. The people that are making it in their basement or ordering it or whatever they're doing, they're not telling people what they're actually selling them. So again, these kids that are using it, they have no idea what they're actually using.
Right.
And then by the time they realize it, it's already too late. They're hooked physically. The withdrawals from it are pretty terrible. So
or they die.
Yeah, or unfortunately, a lot of them don't make it, especially if they're not like hardcore drug users. If I ate one of those pills right now, I would probably die.
Yeah.
Nate would probably die. We're not
Right.
small children. That just shows you how powerful they are. So they're just like experimenting, and a friend hands them this pill and they're like, here, try this. Unfortunately, we've seen that happen quite a few times recently.
Yeah, we have, and the thing is too, I mean, even fentanyl is being mixed in with cocaine, it's being mixed in with methamphetamine, it's being mixed in with MDMA, Molly, which is a popular drug, which is a club drug, basically it's ecstasy. There's also a lot of fake LSD out there, and sometimes it's being mixed in with that. So, and it's not always intentional that they're mixing the fentanyl in with these other drugs, but these people are not pharmacists. They don't work in a sterile lab, and they don't have, they're not cleaning all their workspaces when they're done. So it gets mixed in sometimes on accident, but there also are times where they're lacing it on purpose. So, whatever you're getting off the street, there's a good chance it's got fentanyl in it.
But a lethal amount of
fentanyl, And the scary thing is, the second part of this, how these people say, okay, so many people are dying of overdoses. And one of the trends that's happening is that the people are getting younger and younger that are dying of overdoses, right? So we're seeing a huge uptick in people under the age of 18, actually 21 and down, who are dying of overdoses, right? And the youngest I've seen so far is a 13-year-old. So the way that these drugs are being marketed is through an app called Snapchat, which, for those of you who don't know, it is an app where you can send pictures, you can send messages, essentially like similar to a text message. However, as soon as you close the app, all the messages and the pictures disappear unless they're saved by one party or the other. And if you save it, both parties can see that it's been saved. So a lot of drug dealers create Snapchats, right? And they sell drugs to individuals who may be seeking, like a lot of us who were young, like we experimented with drugs, right? So a lot of these kids, what they'll do is they'll get a message from these people, or they'll seek them out because their friend will say, hey, like if you're looking for weed or a Percocet, hit this guy up, right? And so what these people will do is they will market this to these kids that are middle school, high school, and college, and say, hey, I have Percocets for sale, I have Xanax for sale, I have Adderall for sale, I have gabapentin for sale, I have Vicodin for sale. Little do these individuals know that all those drugs are fake. They're all counterfeit. So the Adderall is full of methamphetamine and possibly fentanyl. The Xanax is full of fentanyl. The Percocets are full of fentanyl. The Vicodin's full of fentanyl, and the gabapentin's full of fentanyl. So this young person, say you're 17 years old, and you're just looking to have a good time with your friends, and you buy this Percocet and you take it, you think you're getting 30 milligrams of oxycodone. Well, again, like we've said, there's no quality control with these pills. So it could be a lethal dose of fentanyl. It does not take much fentanyl to kill you. About 2 milligrams is lethal. The DEA is estimating all the pills they've seized in the last 2-3 years, 26% of those pills have enough fentanyl in them to be lethal. Just for an idea of what's going on, in 2015, the St. Louis DEA office seized 0 fake Percocets, right? Fake Percocets full of fentanyl, 0. In 2020, they seized 6 million. 6 million pills. That's one DEA office in the United States, in St. Louis. That's more than there are people in the city of St. Louis, right? So this is what's going on. So if you or someone and your child is, middle school aged, high school age, college age, and they have Snapchat, they have a smartphone, they have access to the internet, drug dealers have access to them and they're able to peddle them fake drugs. And another thing is too, they're selling these drugs as real. Obviously they're not, so it's really becoming a huge problem, and the police can't get to these people because all the information is gone.
Yep.
Snapchat is essentially the new open air drug market. These people have menus on Snapchat, on their Snapchat story, pictures of all these drugs and menus of what they have and how much it costs. If you have money, they'll come right to your house.
I've actually had people add me on Snapchat that I didn't know, and I'll go to their profile and they'll have a story on their Snapchat, like how you can put a story on Facebook or Instagram. They'll have a story on their Snapchat, and it'll just be pictures of all their different bags of drugs.
With prices and
again, people that I don't know, that don't know me, that just add random people, so that these people see everything that they have on there. So it's definitely scary, and it's because we know most kids have Snapchat, and even like my younger family members, like that's just how kids all communicate now. It's just on Snapchat for whatever reason. I don't know why they can't just text each other like normal people, but that's what everyone uses now.
So we wanted to put that out so you guys are aware of some of the trends that are going on. If you guys have questions, inbox us, call us, text us, whatever you want. Throughout the month, we're going to be having some people on to talk about stories within their family of people that they've lost. So you guys know we're not just on here running our mouths. These are people, real people that have real stories about loss, about overdose, and they want to raise awareness. And we also want them to have a chance to talk about their loved ones.
Yep.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Again, if you guys ever have questions, hit us up. See ya.
All right, thanks, guys.